Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech has served as one of, if not the most unforgettable moments of the Civil Rights era. Dr. King's willingness to speak his mind on one of the country's most prominent social issues allowed him to gather huge crowds that were able to peacefully demonstrate against the racial inequalities which were being tolerated at the time. The I Have a Dream speech took the Civil Rights movement to an entirely new level, and the results that followed are largely in part to Dr. King's phenomenal public speaking skills. The speaking skills that King developed during his adolescence were unique to the South. Thomas Peake's scholarly article, The Speeches of Martin Luther King Jr., noted how there was always a sense of urgency and exuberance that was displayed in King's public speeches. Dr. King's father and grandfather were both Southern reverends. Growing up around the rhythm and forceful tones of this unique style inspired the future civil rights leader's mind. This remained as a pivotal component in his public speaking career and contributed to his recurring success. All of Dr. King's famous speeches essentially focused entirely on the struggle for human equality and nonviolent protesting. These were common recurring themes in Dr. King's entire speaking career. A large majority of the time, Dr. King would incorporate religious writings and experiences to help him paint the picture he was trying to achieve in his speeches. All of these were vital components to the success that King exhibited as a civil rights activist. King's speech in the March on Washington rallied nearly 300,000 people and gathered the attention of millions more around the world. The speech's impact on the audience was beyond captivating, and the lasting effects that followed are still remembered and celebrated today. As one of the most prevalent African-American authors, we can turn to Maya Angelou to reminisce on her reaction to Dr. King's speech's 50th anniversary by testifying, "There is still hope. If there were not, there would be no reason to get up in the morning. There is hope. Sometimes you need to be jarred into finding it, jarred into sharing it." I remember a statement of the Reverend King's that you ought to believe in something in life. Believe in something so fervently that you will stand up with it until the end of your days. Jesse Jackson as well understands how effective his speech and communication was to the cause he was fighting for and how it carried over today. We had this sense that we were winning, we were rising up. We had overcome fear. That speech was an early indication that if we keep marching, if we keep pushing, we're going to win this battle. It was a dawn to daylight speech, and we won. Now we have the sense that we're at dusk, moving toward midnight. One thing we can learn from Dr. King is that the forces of equal protection should neither sleep nor slumber. We've got to keep marching. Dr. King's speech inspired millions of people just as much then as it continues to do so now. But most importantly, the speech gave those hope to people that had none, and without it, their pursuits of civil rights equality may not have occurred. Perhaps one of the most important things to take away from Dr. King's speech would be the educational values it can serve for communication and public speaking. According to the Journal of Organizational Behavior Education, the I Have a Dream speech has served as a teaching tool for transformational leadership by helping students articulate a vision or idea and its communication to their followers. By creating a vision, students studying this style of speaking can have an idea of realistic, incredible future for their organization. This style, which King utilized in I Have a Dream, left a vital foundation for those that wish to further their knowledge and skills in communication and transformational leadership. Jeffrey Godwin from the Journal of Organizational Behavior Education emphasized how Dr. King's speech exemplifies a leader creating and effectively communicating a transformational vision through the usage of rhetorical devices, a sense of urgency, and familiar language and imagery that resonated with his audience which followed him. Mark Vail, in his book, Rhetoric in Public Affairs, dedicates a large portion and effort to analyzing Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. Vail argued that King's remarks struck the perfect tone within the overall context of the event. Also explicitly noted in the book was that King's speech created a sense of urgency and crisis. Vail emphasized that the crisis situation which was at hand served as a tool for charismatic public speaking and this recurring theme of transformational leadership. The time that King was writing in and the social norms that were tolerated at the time were undoubtedly inspiring to the entirety of his I Have a Dream speech. The means by which King delivered his speech were truly inspiring and remarkable considering the violent circumstances that surrounded their peaceful protests. Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream stands for more than can be summed up right here and now, but it should go without saying how effective Dr. King's communication and public speaking skills and how crucial they were to the victory he achieved.